Okay, it is 9 o'clock, and I think people are a little sleepy because we're expecting about almost 60 people this morning, but we're going to go ahead and get started. We start on time and end on time around here, whether we're virtual or in our classroom. So good morning. Welcome to our first 6 Feet Apart webinar of 2021. If you're newer, this is actually a series that started when the shutdown first started last year, when we thought we were going to be locked down for 2 weeks. A year ago. And this was just a way for us to get information to our members quickly, virtually. It's a member benefit. It's free for all of our WMFHA members, and we're happy to do that for you. So welcome. I'm going to go over just a couple of housekeeping things and then turn it over to your speaker for today. My name is Sloan Sorbana. I'm the Director of Career Development for your association. And just really quickly, the best way for you to view this webinar and get the most out of it is go up to your view options, click the little drop down and exit full screen. Do that and then go ahead and open that chat box. That way you'll be able to see Kelly as she's speaking, you'll be able to see her presentation, and you'll be able to see the chat. We like to be interactive in these webinars because it's a webinar format. Kelly and I can't see or hear you, but we love hearing from you. So we're going to use that chat today. Kelly's got some polls she's going to be doing, so we're definitely going to want to hear from you. This is not like a sit back and watch. This is a sit up and participate webinar. Oh, hey, Jordan, good to see you. Hi, Heather. Other than that, just make sure that you have your video on, your audio on, so you can hear Kelly. Be sure to, we are recording this video and we will send it out to those that are registered for this class today. It will be protected so that only those that are registered can watch it. So please don't share that with anyone else. I think besides that, I don't have any other announcements. So I'm going to kick this over to Kelly Wakefield. If you don't know Kelly, she is our director of events. She's not a director of events. She's a director of capturing all of our events, but she's our marketing and communications director. When we were doing a live event, she was always the one walking around with a camera, asking you questions and shooting video, but she's really knowledgeable. She loves this topic. And I remember being somebody that underutilized LinkedIn personally until she showed me the error of my ways. And so I'm going to kick this over to her and enjoy the webinar today.
Awesome. Thank you, Sloan. And thank you for this opportunity. So I actually presented this when we were in person to our board of directors at our board retreat in 2019. I was sick at the time and I thought I had what now I know was COVID. Who knows, because it was pre-COVID. It's been a wild ride, but lovely to have you all here. I'm going to go ahead and start my presentation. So just give me a second here to share my screen. So we're here today to talk about personal branding on LinkedIn. Now, your boss might say, why personal branding? But you'll see throughout this presentation how your personal brand extends through your company brand and represents the industry at large as well. So why social media marketing? And that's a term that you might not have heard before. You might just think social media, but social media marketing can help you grow your brand awareness. Like I said, personal, extending through your company brand and the industry, the image of the industry at large. It's cost effective. So literally, it only takes your time to interact and engage on social media. Engagement with customers, and this can include potential employees, vendors, partners. There's just really no end to the amount of people you can connect with on social media. And it can result in increased traffic to your website, increased understanding of our industry. I think that's one thing we try to do as an association and as leaders in multifamily is to get people to understand that it's a career path, and it's a lucrative career path that people can retire in. And then, of course, it can improve your search engine optimization, and I'll show you a little bit about how we can make that possible. And we are all about relationship building. So social media marketing is inherently tied to relationship building, especially now in these virtual times. Okay, so Sloan, if you could go ahead and launch our first poll. How often do you use LinkedIn? So is it daily, weekly, occasionally, or you can't remember the last time you logged in? So I am guilty myself of in the past not remembering the last time I logged in. Here we go with the poll, so go ahead and plug that in. But nowadays, I am on LinkedIn daily. And part of that is because I am in charge of managing Washington Multifamily Housing Association's brand. And we have a LinkedIn page and we have a LinkedIn group. But it's also because there's other reasons that I really engage. It's beneficial to my career. It's beneficial to my education. It's beneficial to my connections, frankly. So let's see. We've got some engagement on the chat. Jordan says, Michael is doing something awesome. I'm curious, what is it? Maybe he's referring to how you manage to only get on LinkedIn once a week, which is perfect. That's great for many people. And how do I get myself off LinkedIn if I'm on there too much? Maybe that's what Jordan's wondering. The results of that poll, how often do you use LinkedIn? 46% of people on this webinar say they're using it daily. I'm one of them. 4% said they can't remember the last time they logged in. That I have been guilty of as well. And then it's about a quarter of you who weekly or occasionally use LinkedIn. So we want to bump that number up. Like I said, it's good for not only our own professional development, our own relationship building, but also the industries. So I just wanted to share here a couple of statistics about people who use social marketing to sell their products or to rent a home or to connect with their customers. 78% use it and have outsold their peers in doing so. 92% of buyers start their search online. So we have to meet them where they are. And 100% of business decision makers use social media. All right, so LinkedIn specifically is what we're talking about today. And that's because this is the only professional social media marketing tool that I know of. You know, Twitter can be, I'd say, a little bit, but it's also a pile of a lot of other information. So again, this is your professional, personal brand to the world. It's important that you have your about section filled out, all of your relevant experience listed, skills and endorsements listed, recommendations, accomplishments, and interests. So I'm actually going to show you my page in real time. So just a second here while I pull up a different view. Okay, right here. All right, so this is my LinkedIn page. And as you can see, I have a branded headline. I have a branded banner photo behind my professional headshot. That is a must. If you look at other profiles or if you're searching on LinkedIn and you see a profile pop up that has a big gray box and maybe an avatar, are you going to click on it? I probably wouldn't. You know, this shows not only you as a person, your professional outlook, but what you're representing. So I'm representing Washington Multifamily Housing Association apartments, and that shows clear through the beginning of my profile. Right here is the headline, and because I have a branded banner photo, I get to play around with this headline a lot, and I change it every couple of months. I'd say the rule of thumb is to put your job title there, and then with a little bit of space, maybe a tagline from your company, or something you're doing, kind of what your goal is in connecting with people. So my example showed that what I had listed on my headline was my job title, and then advocate, educate, celebrate. That's WMFHA's tagline. But like I said, because my profile is well branded with WMFHA representation, I don't feel like I have to always have my headline be listed as my job title, because what do? Well, in my mind, I'm connecting people's hearts with the words that I write, or maybe connecting with marketing. People don't necessarily think storytelling with marketing, but I really enjoy storytelling. And one of the big parts of my job are our weekly WMFHA Wednesdays videos. And I feel like those videos connect people. And so I play with this headline. I've had it say something like connector, wordsmith. You can really play around with it and express yourself in this headline. If anyone loves their headline and wants to plug it in, feel free, because we all want to see kind of different examples of, or you've seen someone's headline on their LinkedIn page that you just love and really speaks to you. Feel free. And Jordan says he likes that it says more about me and what I'm about. So yeah, again, it's my personal brand. But what comes through is, maybe my passion for the industry, or my passion for connecting people with words. Daniel says, do better, be better. Great. I love that. And there's a lot of space here, so you can feel free to take up space with your explanation. Or it's perfectly fine if you want to keep it as your job title. For me, kind of the job I had prior to working with WMFHA wasn't as exciting of a job title. And so for a long time, I had Director of Marketing and Communications, and I was really proud of that. So play around with it. And then, as you can see, Washington Multifamily Housing Association is hyperlinked on my profile. That means my current position is connected to WMFHA. And you want to make sure that your positions are connected to the company you're working for. Most companies, I'd say probably 90% of our member companies have a LinkedIn page for their company. And so that's what we're doing here. We're connecting our job position with our company page. Okay. And let's see, my about section. Some of this came from my resume, but I start here with a really bold kind of goal of what I do and what I'm looking for. I'm a professional who loves a challenge. Here's some of the things that I'm really good at. Proficiencies are listed next. And by all means, it doesn't have to look like this. Excuse me. But initially, I sort of took this from my resume. So then you see below about my kind of general information. And then I get into where I'm currently working, what I do, and what I've done in the past. So currently, Director of Marketing and Communications. Recently, Operations Coordinator. Recently. And then at the bottom, I have my specialties listed. Okay, and then as a rule of thumb, you always want to put your contact information, not necessarily your cell phone number, just kind of depending on your role, but contact me at kelly@wmfha.org. So that's important to go in your about section as well. The next thing that appears on your profile is this featured section. And so what I've done is I've added a publication here that was in Units magazine in 2019. And so if I click there, I believe it goes directly to the site that's hosting that. Exactly. So that's an article I wrote that went in Units magazine. That was January of 2020. So if there's any publications, if there's any presentations, if you are a NAA 20s in their 20, and that links to an NAA page, you want to feature that here on your LinkedIn profile. We miss the chili cook-off, very true. The next section on your profile is activities, so you can see what I've been up to. You can see what I'm commenting on, what I'm liking, what I'm engaging in. And then right here is the experience section. So that's where, like I said, you want this to link to your company page. So as you can see, I didn't populate this logo myself. When I connect my role, Director of Marketing and Communications, to Washington Multifamily Housing Association, it automatically does that for me. So that's part of the reason, to connect your experience to your company. And you can add examples. This hasn't been updated, guilty, but these are some videos that I made for WMFHA. So just in building out my profile, probably when I first started working here, I added these. So if there's anything, a presentation, an article, a blog, you can add it here. For those who don't know, I have also been self-employed as a freelance writer. And I've worked for a couple of different publications, freelance columnist here with Ethnic Seattle. Unfortunately, that company went under, and so these links actually don't work. But I'm leaving them because just because their website went down doesn't mean that my work, is in vain. The work is still worthy. And as you can see, there's a little description, There's a little description of what it is. So at least it has a little bit behind it. And again, with all of my positions, even my volunteer positions, I have some linked information about that kind of explains what I did there. And then education, volunteer experience is important. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. Skills and endorsements. So this, you can add skills of things that you're good at, of things that you have experience with. I have a lot of experience with nonprofits, fundraising, volunteer management, community outreach. And as you can see, people have endorsed me for those skills. And then finally, recommendations. So I've received 9 recommendations from people I've engaged with over the years, professionally, in some of my freelance work as well. And I've given 16 recommendations to, as part of this presentation to the board in 2019, I gave recommendations to all of our board members. Now, I'm a director of marketing, and these folks are portfolio managers, vice presidents. It might not look like a lot coming from me, but having recommendations listed on your LinkedIn profile goes a long way. And so that was sort of what I was trying to get across, is that even if it's just a couple of lines of an example of someone you've worked with, it can really help out their profile. It can really help out their company, and in turn, the industry. Finally, accomplishments. So honors and awards. Every time we win an excellence award, which is pretty often, I list it here. So in 2020, we won the Excellence Award for Member Engagement and Outstanding Service to an Affiliate. In 2019, we won an excellence award for community service. So I suggest all of my colleagues also add that to their LinkedIn profile. Wink, wink, Sloan. And languages, of course, if you speak any other languages, of course, list those, and your professional affiliations. So this is from my past. I don't do fundraising anymore, but I was a part of the Association of Fundraising Professionals. You all should list on your profile that you are members of Washington Multifamily Housing Association. Goes a long way. And any publications, like I said, I haven't added everything, but I tried to at least have one thing here and there. And then finally, interest are things that you are engaging, that you are interested in seeing on your timeline. I'm not quite sure how Sapient got on there, but Zillow, Multifamily Executive, Cushman and Wakefield. I try to follow all of our member company pages so I can see what our members are up to and share it and engage with it. Okay, so that's my profile. Let's scroll to the top. And while we're here, I want to point out this public profile and URL. So right at the top of your profile, you can go ahead and set your LinkedIn URL. So if you aren't as LinkedIn savvy, you might not know that changing your URL here is going to benefit you a lot in search engine optimization. So feel free to message me if you have any questions about this. But for example, Kelly Wakefield was already taken when I got around to updating my URL. And so I put my middle name, Kelly Nicole Wakefield. So whatever works for you, maybe it's Ron Burkhart Amley, if there's another Ron Burkhart or something like that. However, if you change companies, you're going to want to change your URL. Ron does have a question here. So is the affiliation section where someone would add that they're on the WMFHA board? So great question, Ron. Affiliations. So you can actually list it as experience, and you can put it as volunteer board of directors member under your experience. And then again, link that experience to WMFHA. Or let's see where the affiliation piece is. You'll want to do it both ways, actually. So accomplishments and affiliations. You'll want to be listed as a member of Washington Multifamily Housing Association here. And then in your experience, you'll want to be, volunteer board of directors member as well. And so for anyone who's on a committee, add your experience, talk about what you do on that committee, talk about some projects you do. If you had an idea for WMFHA Wednesdays video, take that YouTube URL, pop it in here and say, I helped come up with this concept, or it's a project you worked on with WMFHA. Yeah, add it to your LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation. How's everyone doing so far? Feel free to drop it in the chat. Awesome. Cheyenne, thank you. Great. Libby. All right, Daniel. Thanks, Michelle. Great. All right. Play from current slide. I'm new to this whole presentation mode stuff. Usually I'm behind the scenes. So thanks for putting me on the spotlight. All right, so we're going to launch that poll again. In case you didn't get an opportunity to fill out the second poll, we accidentally put the two together. Why are you using LinkedIn? Now, is it for recruitment? Could you be looking for your next leasing agent? Is it so you know what's going on in the industry, what different companies are doing, who's merging? Are you looking for a career? This is anonymous, so that's okay. You're looking for a new position. We're not gonna we're not going to put you on blast. We know people move around a lot. Professional networking, relationship building, making connections, all of the above, or maybe none of the above. So go ahead. And I'm interested for anyone who said none of the above. What did I not think of that you might be doing on LinkedIn, or that you might have a goal of doing on LinkedIn? If you answered none of the above, please drop that in the chat. Jonah says, I'm simply not on LinkedIn. We're going to change that, Jonah. Michael, I'm old and slow. All right. Well, old, what's the saying? Old dogs learn new tricks. Didn't mean to call you a dog. Michael, I need this presentation once a month to keep me on my game. All it takes, and you'll see this a little bit later in the presentation, 10 minutes a day. If you're spending half hour or more on, say, Facebook or TikTok, Reddit, reallocate some of your time, even 10 minutes a day, to LinkedIn, and we'll see how you can get, how far that can take you. Oh, this is awesome. Jane said LinkedIn helped her get her last 2 positions. Yeah, that's great. Exactly. Because LinkedIn is like a live, breathing resume, right? On your paper resume, you can't necessarily add all those links and publications. Sure, you can provide a portfolio if you get the job interview, but that's the first initial contact when someone looks at your resume, is usually when they decide, in the first 5 to 10 seconds. So a living, breathing resume that not only builds your personal brand, but it also extends into your company's brand and the industry. Jordan, oh, awesome. LeaseLock found him through LinkedIn as well. Yep. There you go. LinkedIn got you back in Seattle with Pillar Properties. That's great, Michael. If Evan is on the call, you might have seen that I gave Evan a recommendation when he was transitioning, and ultimately he used me as a reference and he got the position. So leveraging his presence on LinkedIn and his connections through the association helped him land his next position too. Jordan says, another fun way to use LinkedIn, celebrate with your peers and their successes. Absolutely. Yes, and LinkedIn is the only way to network right, besides our tapas and topics and coffee connections. Exactly. This digital world that we're living in is not going away. We hope to be back in person later this year. That might not be the case. It might be a couple of years. If you compare our current situation to the Spanish flu of 1912, I think it took 2 to 3 years for them to get back in person. So, we have to make use of what is available to us here and now. And that's social connections online. All right. So speaking of connections, this is your opportunity to connect with one another. Go ahead and drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat. Let's all connect. Like I said, I've done this presentation in person before. And LinkedIn has a pretty cool feature that you can find people nearby. And so if you turn that on when you're in a room with other people at a networking event or what have you, you can see who's in the room and connect with them with one click. Excuse me. All right, people are dropping in their URLs, and I can see, great job. Most people have their personalized URLs. So they're actually improving their search engine optimization by changing a random URL with a ton of different characters to something that's very specific to them. And so far, I think I'm connected with most people, but I make it a point of connecting on LinkedIn with people as I interact with them through my career. So say I went out and visited a couple properties and I filmed a couple of individuals. Well, when I go back to my office, I make it a point to look them up on LinkedIn and make that connection. All right, Ron, looks like you have a little bit of improvement to make on your profile URL. That's quite all right. That's why we're here today. Find nearby is a great feature, and we'll have to do it at our next in-person event. People do have to have it turned on though. So it's sort of like something that should be prompted by the person who's running the meeting. So just know that this is a great option. And thank you all for connecting with one another. Let's make some new connections. Yes, Jonah, you should be starting a LinkedIn. Even 10 minutes a day, we'll get there. All right, so part of this, like I've been talking about, is increasing your search engine optimization. So if you're curious to see kind of where you land in SEO, search yourself on Google. So I searched Kelly Wakefield. I don't use Facebook often at all, so I'm curious as to why that showed up first. But as you can see, the next thing that is listed is my LinkedIn profile on Google. Sloan, how much Google juice do you have? Well, there's a couple of different listings here, and actually the one at the bottom, Apollo, I looked at that and it actually has my personal address listed. So I don't know how White Pages got my address, but they're good. And if anyone wants to send me a card in the mail, just click on that link and you can find me. All right, so back to LinkedIn musts. So your branded banner, your profile photo, your about summary, a professional headline, reserving your LinkedIn URL, Kelly Nicole Wakefield, Sloan R. Sorbana, I think is what she had listed. Make sure to keep it from becoming just a mash of random text. Experience, so where are you currently working? What have you done in the past? Volunteer positions, and link those to the companies you work for. Volunteer positions if you're on the board or on one of our committees, and your membership with Washington Multifamily Housing. Skills and endorsements, and this is something I'm guilty of needing to revisit, because when you get a new position, you start learning new skills, and those are things that you can build out on your resume. Recommendations and accomplishments, and of course, interaction. So specifically, if you want to interact in the industry, I suggest you make sure you're following the WMFHA page and the NAA page so that content pops up on your feed and you can engage with it. Michael's asking about premium membership, and I'll get to that in a little bit. So here's my branded banner photo. If you have ever been an Emerald finalist and you want your headshot from what we took back then, just let us know. We'll email it to you. If you have gotten your headshot taken anywhere, throw it up on your LinkedIn page and update it if you get a new one every year or what have you. So this actually is an example of that branded URL. And that's an old headshot that I was using. I changed it up when I got a fresh one. And here's an example of someone using their volunteer position in their experience. So you can see Sherry Druckman. She was a few years ago immediate past president of our board of directors and has it listed on her WMFHA page. sorry, she has it listed on her LinkedIn. All right, so let's talk a little bit about content. So interaction, engagement, what should you be posting on LinkedIn, right? You see, probably in the last year or so, you see LinkedIn changing. Unfortunately, people are using it more of like a Facebook, and that is not appropriate. You know, what you want to do is shout out your colleagues and your partners. Talk about your job and career information, development. You know, if you get your credential, we want to hear about that. Put a picture up with you holding your credential certification, and talk about what's new with your company. You know, Pinnacle just changed, just was bought out by Cushman Wakefield. And so now, you know, people in the industry might not know that if you're not sharing about it. Professional content. So what are your hopes and dreams? What are you publishing? What presentations are you participating in? Articles and industry news. What's going on in the housing industry? You know, you can share and reshare and like all of WMFHA's content and use that, leverage it on your own page. Projects, publications, and presentations. Have you ever been listed in Units magazine? You know, have you ever written a blog for your company? Or have you presented a WMFHA 6 Feet Apart webinar or a WMFHA Apt Connect class? Add all of that into your profile and let us know how we can help. If you need screenshots, or if you need, you know, if you want to upload your PDF presentation, your slideshow, put all that in your LinkedIn. It's a great place. Best practices, tips, and tricks. So what do you know that could help other people? You want to leverage yourself as a thought leader, and sharing that information on LinkedIn is a great way to do so. And then homes for rent or product information. You know, think of it as a way to advertise for free on LinkedIn. And this is really important, what not to post on LinkedIn. So irrelevant personal information. Sorry, we don't want to hear about your dog on LinkedIn. You know, we'll go to Facebook to hear what's going on with your dog. Unless you're a vet, it's not really relevant. Or, you know, maybe you talk about dogs in like a service animal. That's relevant. But if you're just talking about, you know, what you took your dog for a walk this weekend, that doesn't really belong on LinkedIn. Sloan says, please no workout pictures. Save that for Instagram. Controversial ideas. So if you think maybe something is, if you don't believe in, say, the coronavirus vaccine, that's not really, unless you're a health professional, it's not really appropriate to talk about it on LinkedIn, for example. Oh, you guys in this chat is great. Thank you. Political or religious content. Again, those can be really controversial content pillars, and they don't help you, you know, grow your personal brand unless you're a pastor, or, you know, unless you're a government official. It's not really appropriate. Now, it can be kind of a fine line, because in our industry, of course, there's a lot of legal ramifications, and we might want to align ourselves with certain policymakers. So you have to really be thoughtful about that. You know, think of the ramifications of what you post. Sales pitches. Unfortunately, you know, you can think of using LinkedIn for free marketing, but you want to do it in a way that doesn't seem pushy, right? Maybe information sharing rather than trying to sell someone. Anything negative or unprofessional, you know, is that how you want to portray yourself to the world, as a Debbie Downer? I don't think so. We want to keep it sprightly. We want to keep it positive. Complaints. So it's definitely not a place to complain about your boss or a boss you've had in the past. You know, we all go through different employment situations, and that complaint, if you decide to put it on LinkedIn, will follow you and could hurt people. So again, just think of the ramifications. Spelling mistakes. I'm a real heckler about grammar and spelling. And, you know, if you see something spelled wrong, you lose a little bit of credibility, honestly. So take your time when you're posting on LinkedIn to really think things through, read things through before you post it. A lot of times you can edit posts, but someone may have seen it already. Your personal job search. Now, again, this can be tricky. You know, LinkedIn has that banner that you can put on your photo that says you're looking for positions, but you don't want to seem desperate. You still want to leverage yourself as a professional, as a thought leader, as valuable. And so maybe keep your job search in your inbox. If there's people you know who work at a certain company or who work in a certain environment that you want to see yourself in, send them a personal message instead of, you know, posting, hey, can anyone help me find a job here or what have you. So make your job search more personal and not blast it out to everyone. Ron says, don't attempt to borrow money. Good point. Yeah, we don't want anyone, you know, asking for loans on LinkedIn. That's not going to look good for you. And anything unrelated in general to your job, your career, or your industry. So, you know, share what you know about, share what you are good at, and leave the rest for other social media platforms. All right, so let's get into some examples of people who have done this really well. So this is Kevin Marquis. I don't speak French, so maybe I got his last name wrong. Sorry, Kevin. He is a lease up manager for Greystar. Sorry, I'm just monitoring the chat here. Kim says she's getting spammed with friend requests for financial investments. Oh, that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. LinkedIn isn't necessarily like a friend zone, right? So Facebook, you might want to keep it more specific to people you actually know, but don't be afraid to connect with people. Of course, you want to vet them. If you don't need a financial investment advisor and you keep getting connection requests from them, you can probably ignore those. But if it's someone from, say, I've been getting connection requests from like pest control companies. Well, the company's not a member of the association, but they potentially could be in the future. So I'm accepting those requests. You know, I get a lot of requests from different marketing type people, and I generally, as a rule of thumb, accept those requests because you never know what information they might share that might be relevant to you or interesting. So yeah, I would say if it has the potential to help you or help your business or help the industry, go ahead and connect. You don't have to keep it to people you know personally. But if you're spammed, I'd say ignore those ones. So back to Kevin. He posted introducing the residents at Rainier Square pre-leasing information about this new lease up, a picture. Of course, it's really an incredible building. And so it grabs your eye. But did anyone expect this post to go viral? Because we have talked about it, you know, I've talked about it in other settings, and this is literally a viral post. So here's Kevin posting about leasing an apartment in this new residence. And he has over 2,000 people engaging on his post. So 148 comments. This indeed is a viral post. And what is it? It's literally just it's just a picture and a little bit of information about what he's doing. And we'd have to ask Kevin. I might follow up with him and see what he says, but I wonder how many leases he actually got from this post, because I bet it's a few. And here's Kevin again. This is a screenshot, but it's actually a video of him. So he's talking about his 6th leased up project with Greystar. He's professionally dressed. He's, looking engaging. Again, it's a screenshot, so you had to watch the video to experience it. But here he is leveraging his personal brand to contribute to growth for his company and for the industry. Okay, here's another example, and I know Libby is on the call. So Libby, sorry to use you, but this is wonderful. Libby has her branded banner photo focusing on solutions with Avenue 5. And I love it because it's a bright photo. It has text that really draws you in. And it doesn't necessarily say she's a recruiter, but she's focused on a solution. And that could be a solution for a job seeker. It could be a solution for, her company to find the right fit. So Libby is a great example. I also love how she put her pronouns in here. She, her, and in case people prefer to go by they or them, that can be really inclusive, and I really appreciate that. So way to go, Libby. She's also a great example of engagement on LinkedIn. I see Libby posting opportunities daily, and she gets a lot of engagement, upwards to 10 people liking or commenting. Libby is a recruiter for Avenue 5. Actually, she is a senior recruiter. I should correct myself, because she just recently got a promotion, and we saw that if you're connected with her on LinkedIn. And we congratulated her for that. So congratulations, Libby. So if you follow Libby, you'll see all of those posts where she's saying, I have an opportunity here. There's an opening over there. And she posts a picture of the community and some information, and it goes a long way. So great job, Libby. If you haven't already done so, check the chat for Libby's URL and go connect with her now. So Pascal, I don't think he's on this call, but he's both an example and someone we can nitpick a little bit. So I love how Pascal put the picture of his Emerald Award featured on his LinkedIn profile. Fantastic. That's front and center on his page. And excuse me, Pascal really does an incredible job in person. He introduces himself as community manager of the year, or award-winning community manager, when he's meeting with potential clients, potential leasers. And yet, if you go to his profile, it doesn't necessarily portray all of that exuberance that he has as a person, face to face, because he's missing a banner photo and some information at the top of his profile. So I did pull from a little further down, because this is a great piece of information, and I love this feature, but Pascal has some work to do on the top of his profile. So go check that out if you want to know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the 10 minutes per day that I've been talking about. So if you spend, like I said, 30 minutes, it's probably more, on Facebook or Instagram or Reddit, TikTok, take some of those minutes and put them towards your LinkedIn profile. Complete your profile, search for prospects, invite new connections, try a video, join a couple of groups, like, comment, and share. Engagement is great. I can help, Kim. Send me a message. I'm happy to help. And the 5 R's of social media: reason, representation, responsibility, respect, and restraint. So this is specifically true for LinkedIn, but you should take this into account for all of your social media. Be reasonable. You know, online presence can basically be the same as offline in person. You don't want to be anonymous. You want to be yourself. Be factual, respect others, and read over what you want to say. Once it's online, it doesn't come down. So pause and reread. A little bit about LinkedIn Premium. I haven't used it myself, but there's different pricing tiers based on what you want to get out of it. A couple of the features is that you can get in-mail, or you can send in-mail messages. So if someone kind of has their page locked down a little bit, you can send them a message without having to connect with them first. You can see who's viewed your profile. You know, like I said, if someone has their profile locked down, you might just see that someone from this industry viewed your profile and not exactly who viewed your profile. And on LinkedIn Premium, there's also a lot of educational features, learning courses, and interview prep. So that's sort of the ins and outs of LinkedIn Premium. I don't have any personal experience with it, but if you look back at, say, Libby's profile, that little yellow box means that she's using LinkedIn Premium. So you might ask her specifically, you know, and it's great for people who are in recruiting to grow their network and to enable themselves a little bit more on the platform. I haven't personally required it, so I haven't used it. Okay, that's my presentation, but I would be amiss if I didn't ask all of you for your tips. So let's see, Evan says, practice using searches, using quotation marks and in caps, narrows down searches and can help find people in your industry to connect with. Yes. Yeah, try it out. Search for your boss on LinkedIn and see if you can find them and if they have a robust profile. Keyword searches as well, Evan says. And he's gained over 7,000 connections. Wow, that's incredible. Jonah, he's hesitant to join. He doesn't use Facebook. His wife wants him to know that he's an actual person. He doesn't want to create a LinkedIn account that doesn't have activity. Yeah, I mean, what's the point if you're an avatar? There might not be a purpose, but say, Jonah, if you're looking to grow your company in your area, you might start by just searching for Yakima and seeing who's who, and see if you can make new connections. You never know. There's actually a good example of someone who is helping her daughter lease an apartment in Seattle. And because they're someone who used LinkedIn often, they went on LinkedIn and searched for community managers and used LinkedIn and people's personal profiles. Pascal was one of them, to help them find their daughter's next apartment. So you never know where people are looking to help them make their buying decisions. You won't really know it until you try it, Jonah. Lucas says assessments are a new feature on LinkedIn and can show off your skills. That's a great note, because I've been meaning to take one of those myself. You know, you say you're skilled at this and this and that, but Where's the proof? Well, in these assessment tools. Daniel has some advice for Jonah. Get set up 1 day a week to play around on it. And you really never know until you give it a try. Yeah, set a reminder. Yeah, part of your daily Monday morning routine. Absolutely. You know, it helps you feel connected, especially if you're working from home and you don't get out as much as you used to. Guilty. It's a great place to see what's going on and to feel like part of the industry. All right, I'm going to stop my screen share. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I hope you gained something valuable, or at least, you know, got curious.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That was good. As a reminder, we are going to send the recording of this as well as a PDF version of all of Kelly's slides. So if you weren't taking feverish notes, it's okay. We've got you covered. We'll send that out later today. We hope that you enjoyed some of this information. I think, you know, some of the things that just really resonate with me is, especially in our industry, it's such an industry based on relationships. And I know that some of the relationships I've cultivated, whether it was for me to benefit me or to benefit our members or our students, came from what I saw on LinkedIn. And so it's a great tool for those of you that are hesitant. I will tell you, it is, you know, a really great way to build your professional network without having all your personal out there. And I think that's what people really like about LinkedIn is that you can have that separation. I kind of have a rule of thumb that I don't really let many industry people on my personal social channels, but on LinkedIn, I basically accept anyone, except if you're a prince promising to give me your fortune if I send you $2,000, then I kind of wait on that. But other than that, it's just a great way to connect. So thank you so much, everyone. We're going to wrap it up for today. Watch for our follow-up email. Kelly, thank you so much for all these great tips. And we look forward to seeing you all in another WMFHA webinar soon. And definitely be watching for Kelly's WMFHA Wednesday video today. It's so good. It's so good. I can't wait for you all to see it. Have a great day, everyone.